What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tapping into another episode of the Mindful Moneymakers podcast, where we host conversations with different thought leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs, all about the different mindset shifts you need to make if you want to live a life by design instead of by default. Today, we have a very special being in the building. I'm getting this energy, this vibe from him right away that we're super aligned, and I'm super excited to have a conversation with Zameer Kurji today. He is Mr.
Kurji. Yep.
Kurji.
Hey, it's
Zameer
cool, man. We
Kurji.
gotta we gotta go back and forth on the names because I'm someone who needs to know how to pronounce yours as well.
For sure. We're gonna do that. But I'm excited to be talking with you. You call yourself Mr. Nothing But Love, and I appreciate it.
Mr.
Respect that. My
Yeah,
name's
thank you.
Talmadge, T
Talmadge. Okay.
Spice, Coach T Spice, and we'll jump into it. First, I appreciate you yet again, and I want to give you the
Thank you.
opportunity to kind of introduce yourself a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, man. So Zameer Kurji, and I own a company called Quantum Boost, and what I work on primarily is putting people in the correct structure because for success. So my coach is Chris Duncan, and he introduced me to this thing called the superconscious recode. So the mix of the two structures that I'm working with primarily are, we have a success structure over here. So we put people into a year-long plan of their goals, and then break it down into 90 days, 30 days, weekly, and then a daily keep up, so that you're hitting your 30-day goals, and then you'll switch, and it's just to keep you on track. So that's one of the components. The other thing that I do is subconscious belief system shifting. And it's actually, we call it a superconscious recode. And this allows me to tap into you can call it the theta realm, you can call it the superconscious realm, God consciousness, whatever state. But I'm practiced in meditating and getting into that state, and being able to do body scans, being able to just tap into what might be a block for each individual that I'm working with. And the cool thing about this work is I can also do it in a group format. So I could do 50 people at one time who have chosen on their paper. They've already relayed the message to their superconscious or their subconscious mind that this is what I want to shift. So I facilitate that shifting.
That's dope. That's dope. And uh, being aware of how powerful it is, what you do. I've heard of different ways and methods to actually get there, jumping into the theta state, changing your subconscious programming, because that's 95% of our lives. But
Mm-hmm.
what's interesting to me is the terminology that you're using. It feels very new, and it feels very progressive for me. So my question out of curiosity is how what you do plays with like NLP, neuro linguistic programming, or maybe hypnosis. Are those the same things, or is it like offensive to kind of compare the two?
No, not at all offensive. They are different, but I do include NLP work in my coaching, hypnosis, things like that. So the superconscious recode is more of an energy work, whereas the NLP is more of like a by the book type of thing. Whereas one's working with intuitions, one's working with logic, right? So the to answer your question, the recodes are slightly different than actually vastly different than NLP and all that.
Vastly different. So is it like more in depth? Would you say? I don't know if you want to play like a comparison game. Maybe they have two completely different purposes, um,
Right.
but I get the feeling that you choose one or the over the other.
Yeah. I like working in the intuitive space. I think that it opens the doors for people to kind of see, all self-healing is, or all healing is self-healing, right? All I'm doing is holding the space for someone to have enough belief and allow in, open the doors to something greater than them to go ahead and take care of the rest of the work. That being said, there is a structure involved with it. I think that it's more me being a creative being. It's more aligned with me to be doing energy work and things like that, because I'm already used to that as an artist and songwriter. Just writing stuff down. There's no box, you know, there's no set structure. This is where the structure is outside of it, and we're bringing in the energy to go ahead and clear out anything that might be blocking you from getting to exactly where you're trying to go. So whereas NLP is very I'd say direct in its work, as much as there's some mystery to it and how it creates new cognitions, this is like it's kind of an addition to what you can do with NLP coaching and all of that. It's just really an extra layer that I add with my coaching, essentially.
Powerful. And I'm feeling, I don't know if anybody listening right now is feeling what I'm feeling, but when you said open up, I just felt that open. I felt myself
Beautiful.
open up. I felt permission to be. And I'm getting the feeling that that is kind of that's the point of what you do and what you've been working so hard to provide
Yeah.
for people as your service. Let's attack it direct on. Let me ask you, what is it like to work with you?
Man, so you know, it's really like having a friend who is giving you the space to be you, you know, mixed with someone who's a real friend and isn't going to settle for you cutting yourself short of what you're actually capable of. You know, like I feel like there's a difference between a friend who's just there for comfort and you guys hang out, it's the homie, whatever, you know, and it's fun. You guys are on the same I'd say wavelength. Where with me, it's not that I'm above or below any of my clients. It's that I know my gift is that I know how to help people see the possibilities outside of themselves, outside of what is in their current reality. So that it's really like someone who's going to help you dream a little bigger, and someone who's going to give you the permission slip that you don't actually need, but you know, we're all growing and we're all realizing that we don't need that permission slip. So for those who don't have one, it's a permission slip. I am just a permission slip.
That's dope. That's
That's
dope.
it.
And I resonate with that as a coach. You know,
Yeah.
myself, it's permission to show up. You know, permission to step into that higher power where a lot of us don't really identify. We know in the back of our mind that we're
Mm.
supposed to be this. We're supposed to show up as that. But
All of the yeah, yeah,
all of the buts,
yeah.
and we get to play, you know, in that realm. What if we got rid of all the buts? Then what happens? Oh,
Mm.
well, I'm happy, I'm free, I'm this, I'm that. Okay, well, here's your permission slip, is what I'm hearing from you.
That's it,
Be
man.
that. Go be that.
That's it. Go be there. And along the way, you're gonna get some cool tools that are gonna help you create sustainability for yourself, you know? And
Mhm.
that's really all we can do as coaches. I don't feel like it's our job to impose any beliefs on people or tell them that this is the right way. People know the right way for themselves. We just let them know that they know, you know?
I find that is they do know, you know, already, and I think that's
Yeah.
one of the biggest misconceptions of coaches. One of them is that we're here to give you advice and tell you what to do and create your strategy and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
for many coaches, maybe that is a portion of it, but for really good coaches, it's only 20% of it. You know, 80% is you dropping into your truth, you know, and then
Right.
deciding to live that. And I think what's covering up that truth is all of the buts, the stories, why I can't do this, why I need to wait to do that, why I don't know enough about this to commit to that. And
Right.
for me, it's heartbreaking to see where you are, where you could be, what's in the way, what you need to do to get out of the way, but
Mm.
let you stay there. Like, to me, that's one of the most selfish things I could possibly do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's also challenging because it's like you're fighting for the person, but you're fighting the person for the person. Like, you got to fight the person's ego to get
Yeah.
the person. It would be so much easier if we just needed to, like, you know, vote in a new president and your life is better. Like, you get to be your highest self. It'd
Yeah,
be
yeah.
so much easier. What comes
Absolutely.
up for you when I say that?
Oh man, no, I just think like I've been through the grapevine following what's going on in the world just because I try not to keep my focus there, you know, and I'm sure you're the same way, you know, you're here right now. There's a lot of people who are stuck in a debilitating space, I feel like, with that.
Mhm.
And so I just laugh because I always laugh at the irony of the universe. It's like the most powerful beings in the world, the most powerful beings, and we're just glued to something that doesn't serve us. So that's just, making light of maybe a dark situation. But yeah.
Right. I mean, I think we've been commoditized like powerful elephants, and we've figured out how to keep them in circuses. And
Hmm.
we can go to the zoo, but the last thing that we expect is that we're actually in one ourselves, you know.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the biggest thing is because I'm sure you're aware the only way out is within.
Hmm.
So what that says to me is that for society to run the way it is running, the it needs to do a tremendous job at distracting you from yourself. I'm like, how do you do that? Like,
Yeah.
maybe temporarily, but all of the time, like you don't have 5 minutes.
They built it in pretty well, man. I mean, even I'm sure you and me as coaches, we still have our moments where we'll be like, I'm gonna watch some Netflix,
Yeah.
and it's like, and it's cool, but it's programming. I think once you're aware that it's programming, it becomes a little bit easier if you're not someone who just takes it all on. Now that you're aware, I'm somebody who went through a phase of becoming aware of the programming, and through the awareness of it paid more attention to it for a bit,
Mhm.
and then realized, oh, it's like you almost have to go through it in order to come out the other end
Right.
and be sovereign of it, I would say,
Right.
you
Right.
know and to
But
step into your power. But even still, man, we're human, and so we're so impressionable. And just scrolling through social media, we see ads and we see, all sorts of things, and we don't even realize that it's happening. It just is. It's what we're born into. But I believe we chose to come here at this time to experience this and to create within it, weave our light into it, I like to say.
right. Right. As star seeds, or are we going down that path?
I mean, we could put a label on it. I like to keep it open ended.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What? So, all right. I'm feeling a draw towards the Great Conjuncture. Is that what it's called? What's happening on the 21st?
Mm.
Winter
So,
solstice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's obviously I don't know, did you feel the effects of the 14th? There was like a big cosmic event on the 14th about 3 days ago.
I'm feeling like great energies, like I think progressively, like throughout this month and throughout the entire year. Like it's been getting stronger and stronger, but I really do feel like it's something strong happening right now. And that's for
Right.
me, not just automatically, because I know the power is in my belief, right? It's not in
Mm.
necessarily in the cup or
Those astrological events even.
right.
Yeah.
It's my belief in it that gives it the power. So I'm kind of having like an experience where, like, if it's happening, I'm gonna be truthful with myself. I'm not gonna believe that something is happening because somebody's told me something was supposed to happen, right?
Right, right, right.
But things are going really good, like with my stock portfolio, my business is doing better. I'm a lot happier. Like I feel clarity, tremendous amount of clarity. Imposter syndrome is out the window. Like I'm just showing up. I feel like I have permission to just be.
Yeah, man, that's so great that you just said that, because for me, during this whole, pandemic, I've been balancing, my clients, but also like the time that I'm not with my clients, I'm genuinely, I'd say most of my day, either meditating or finding myself on the beach, just connecting. Because for me, I saw on your profile, actually, I didn't see this before today, but that you work with embracing the divine feminine.
Mhm.
And I feel like for us as men to heal I know I'm kind of going on a whole different
Just
thing
do
here,
it.
but us as men to heal or heal, I don't even like to call it healing anymore, but to transcend our old programming as masculine and to come into the divine masculine. I feel like it's an embracing of the divine feminine that facilitates that growth. in your masculine journey. So and bringing in that balance, you know.
Yes, indeed. I
But
think it's essential. I think that embracing your feminine, your divine feminine is crucial. Like you have to
mm,
do that. And I think that that is something that could be facilitated by a feminine partner, right? But
absolutely.
because we live in a world where a lot of women or would be feminine entities are they feel pressure to play a masculine role, to have everything figured out, to be 2 3 steps ahead, and all these things, that they're not being that nurturing person that allows their man to explore their feminine and all these other things. They're also afraid of him not being masculine, so it's like counterintuitive that in order for him to be masculine you need to allow him to be feminine, right?
Right, right.
So it's
Yeah.
counterintuitive, but they're afraid of that, so they don't give the space. And on the other side, in order for them to embrace their full femininity, they want to feel like they're around a masculine man. So it's
Right.
a cycle that either party could break the cycle by just simply stepping in, doing what they need to do to step into that role.
Yeah.
But
Balancing themselves.
yeah, but
That's
because
a
we
yeah.
live in this, we have this idea that femininity is weak. I don't think either party wants to really uh play there, you know.
Right. Totally, man. And it comes down to, I think it always comes down to the self, to
Mhm.
me, where it's like, you know, I've attracted partners that weren't for my best and highest good in the past. And um I've had to heal all of those relationships, like go through and heal them. And I think to a certain extent healing is a good thing. I don't think that it's a negative thing. But the reason why I don't like to call it healing anymore is because I feel like we're not broken, and that the illusion is that we need to heal.
Mm,
Whereas it's not so much that we need to heal, it's that we need to become aware of that which isn't serving us. And some of us do have such intense blocks that we actually need to go through it to come out of it. And I'd say for me, I've felt both sides, where it's like, oh, a simple mindset shift fixed the whole damn thing, you
right,
know, and where there is something deeper. Maybe there's some trauma from childhood. Okay, those things. I think it's more about an awareness and then a decision to shift out of that identity.
right.
So to not take that on anymore. So to get back to what you were saying, I really like what you were saying about how a partner could awaken that within you, because for me, I think that in order to even attract that partner, you gotta be at a certain level, first of all, to get that partner that's going to, you know, hold all those cards that you're looking to play with. Um, that has to be present. And that's the beauty of having a coach, really. you
Mhm.
can you can get that from having a coach. Become the person that you want to be. That way you can, you know, attract whatever it is, whether it's money, a woman, a man, whatever it is. So
Right.
yeah.
To the max, to the max. There's so many questions I want to ask you. I don't know what to ask you first, but first off, I'm sold. How do we get in contact with you? How do we work with you?
Oh man. So you can reach out to me at so my email is Zameer, Zameer at quantumboostcoaching.com.
Mhm.
And honestly, the best way to get in touch with me is Facebook. So just Zameer Kurji, and you can get me on there. And I'm always really active on Facebook, because I feel like the people who are active on Facebook are usually people in the self development community. From my experience, there's a lot of activity on there. So it's a good place to connect with like minded individuals and people who are trying to explore their their spirit, whether it's spiritual self or just develop themselves on different levels. I think Facebook's the place for that. You want to go to the music industry, or you want to go to the modeling or acting industry, TikTok, Instagram, cool. But I think Facebook's definitely a place of sharing information right now.
Right, right,
And
for
that's
sure.
where I stay.
How do you see Facebook and compare? This is completely unrelated to
Yeah, yeah.
anything, but how do you see uh, Facebook in comparison to LinkedIn?
Oh man, that's a good question. I haven't spent enough time on LinkedIn to really give you. I have one and I use it from time to time, but I wouldn't say that I'm like versed in it. It was
I'm
cool though. I went on the other day and it was like, oh, your profile is performing optimally and like all this stuff. I was like, damn, I haven't even I haven't even spent time on here, but apparently I set it up right. So
try to incentivize you to come on the platform. They want
yeah, yeah,
dopamine
probably.
going.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe you can give me some tips on that though, man.
Oh no,
Cause
I mean I'm the same.
yeah,
I'm the same. I don't
you're the
spend
same.
time on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. You
Yep.
know, so I heard that. I'm like, I agree with you 100%. I'm trying to see. There's a part of me that is saying you need to be on LinkedIn. So I guess that's where my curiosity comes from.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
but let's talk about music. You're currently making music?
Yeah, man. So I released an album this year. It's called Love, Language of Varying Emotions. And that's the last project that I've released in, since I think it was May. But yeah, it's not exactly where I'm putting my energy right now, but it's still, I'd say the largest part of who I am as a person is staying creative. So I got to have like, I could turn you around maybe with
Mhm.
this, but no, maybe I can't. The cord's too small. All right. That's cool. But if you look at the setup, it's like studio monitors, the mic, we got another mic here, like all that, and just staying like tapped into my creative side, because that's really where I get to tap into my divine feminine the most, that creative aspect of myself. But then coming into it, bringing that masculine side and just that truth and that directness. So music's been like a huge part of my journey of self development as well, and it's cool that I've been able to use it to like integrate.
Mhm.
Because a lot, like I remember when I was looking back, like I was an artist for 12 years, just an artist, right? Owned a recording studio in Anaheim. I was running with a team of about 5 people that I put together, and another few that I started collaborating with recently, and it's just been like that whole sector was growing for me out here. And only knowing that world, and then still doing my self-development stuff, but it was self-develop, it was for me,
Mhm.
still doing that work for me, and then realizing that I just want to step into this.
Right.
Like this makes me feel great, you know what I mean? Having even this dialogue right here, this feels like, what beats connecting with like-minded individuals about ideas that you're passionate about, right?
Right.
Whereas music, it's like, yo, we share a thing. I think for me right now, the thing with music and the difference between the path that I'm choosing right now is that I want to do both no matter what, but I also know that right now the music industry and how it is not something that I want to spend time to untangle when
Mhm.
I got more to give, you know?
Right.
Um, but that being said, all my connections are good. Everybody who I work with, everything is like, it's still thriving. We just got on Genius the other day, and with one of our songs, me and my team. Shout out the Orange Collective, and yeah, we did a song with Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, and we collaborated with them to put this record together. So it was dope, and yeah, man, it's cool. It's just a new chapter, new time, and I think one of the things that we learn as life coaches is how to shift.
Right.
Like how and when to shift, how to pivot. For me, this was a pivot. So
Right. And it's actually a perfect. First off, your album sounds like a vibe. I can't wait to check that out. So
thank you, man.
we need the links for that. We'll drop that in the description as well. Uh,
Absolutely.
and a collaboration with Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. That's dope. That's interesting too. So we get to check that out. But my next question, and I'm glad that it's like a perfect
So
segue,
good.
was how do you know like when to shift? Like what was it like to decide and to make a business out of something that you just felt like probably a general energy around?
Yeah, for me, it was just like I'm someone, I don't like to call myself an empath anymore as well. Like language is so important to me, it's ridiculous. Just using the right words like titling yourself as an empath. I don't run from the fact that I have empathic ability, but I also don't like to dive into that, like take on everything. But I did notice when the pandemic came through, and the amount of heaviness I felt from everybody around me, everybody, and everyone was handling it so differently. And now it's kind of mellowed out. Now you can see like people are kind of like they've accepted it at the very least, and the ones who haven't, they're not in my reality, that I'm focused on.
Right.
So, like, not saying that they don't exist, for the record, they're all human beings and I appreciate them as well. But they're not exactly where I'm focused. But I felt that heaviness, and I was like, I dropped the album shortly after quarantine, after we all got quarantined, or lockdown, or whatever we want to call it. And I just I felt like, oh, like I put so much into this project, and it did a decent amount. Like I got some return on it. Everything was cool. But there was something that was just like, man, it's time for like the world. Look at the world. Like it's bigger than this music. This music has been so self-centered in a sense. As much as it's been like truly the music that I make is to inspire and to uplift and all of that. But um, I know I can do more. And I think that feeling of expansion was bubbling inside throughout the whole thing. And I was like, I need to continue, because I was already doing the coaching stuff prior to, but I hadn't fully dove into it. And it was really through this quarantine point where I was like, okay, one, get myself right. As far as like as a coach, like get into that mindset, become that, and become that person, and really just expand the possibilities of what I can do. Cause I'm not over here being different people,
Mhm.
but just expand my notions of what is possible and how many facets of myself that I can share with the world. So I really had to like dive into that and start, just feeling like, what would that feel like? How do I want my clients to feel? And that's part of the work that I do too. It's really getting them into the feeling space first of what they're trying to attain, and then creating the logical aspects for them to go ahead and follow through with.
Right.
So it was crazy. It was pretty crazy, man. Trying to shift from 12 years of music to all of a sudden I'm a life coach. I know people who see my social media now are very confused, but they're also like, well, he's always been the guy to get on a live story and talk about like, embracing yourself. And, that's the kind of talk that I was already into. So it wasn't a super big leap, but it was like, oh, he went 100%, from the outside looking in. They're like, oh, okay, he moved. But
Right.
little do they know, the plans for the next year. There's still music coming. It's just this is what I feel called to focus on right now.
It's beautiful. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for answering that call. What do you
Man, thank
say?
you.
What do you say uh to somebody who is waiting to be ready before they answer the call?
Don't wait. Just stop waiting. The waiting game, it kills. It's more harmful. I know this from experience. The more that you think, the more that you overthink, the more like just do it. Just jump into it. You're gonna fail. It might suck initially. It might even be embarrassing initially.
Right.
You're gonna get better. You're gonna get better, and you're going to come into whatever it is, because you got, assuming that you're hopping into something like this, answering this kind of a calling. This is such an uplifting space to, or community to be in, where it's like no one's judging you. No one's like, if you got any of those worries jumping into it, which is the main worry of anyone who's holding back from doing something, it's how they're going to be perceived.
Right.
And so it's like, if that's what you're worried about, get get shit on, like
Right.
get made fun of by family, get made fun of by your friends, like do it,
Mm-hmm.
and then realize your potential.
Right. Right.
But the whole time, actually, while you're doing it, you're realizing your potential. And that's the cool part that no one talks about. It's like, oh, as you're doing it, you're having cognitions every fucking moment.
Right.
Every single moment you're having a new cognition, a new thought. It's coming up. It's just, which ones are you embracing and which ones are you throwing to the side and calling them bullshit,
Right.
you know?
Right. Right. What I'm hearing is if you can't be embarrassed, you can't be successful. You get to
Yeah, I
Show
mean, to an extent, yeah. For a lot of people, I'd say it works like that because there's a lot of people who haven't felt what it feels like to be in their power, you
up.
know? And that's not, it's not a bad or good thing. It just is. It's just, what are you going to do with that, you know?
Hmm. Right, right,
Uh,
and that's what it eventually comes down to. You know, I think that people get caught up in controlling the situation rather than focusing on what is actually in their power, is how you respond to certain things. And it's not always an external thing that you need to respond to. I think one of my favorite things is to respond to internal things like, oh, wow, I'm feeling a trigger right now. I'm excited
yeah.
about that. That's cool. This person just triggered me. Let me
And
take
that's the right
ownership of that.
mentality, bro. Like that's the right mentality to come at it from, is from that because I think when we view it from that perspective, when we don't make it a ah shit, and we make it a oh yeah, like
Yeah,
how much, like just the thought of that, it's like climbing over, or just walking over the mountain rather than having to like trek the shit through it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the sound of it, you could feel it.
I think it's the game. I think that's the whole game. And I feel like it's weird for me because it's like, yo, there's no way you got the keys to life right now. But it
Mm,
definitely feels that way. It's not saying that you're not going to have any challenges, but what do you see in life that is worse than challenges, what we consider to be negativity and things like that? There's
right.
nothing worse than that outside of death, which is inevitable. So to befriend the idea of having challenges, to look forward, to be excited about that,
Mm.
what can happen now in your life that is like, I don't have this under control, like where you feel you know, um, like you're gonna stop, that you're gonna quit, you're gonna give up. I don't think there's much that can do that once you have shifted your relationship with challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and that's something that I had to learn early on through the music industry, is that's why I honestly, I think what I actually teach is the art of creation. and and it's just creating whatever it is that you're passionate about. It doesn't matter if it's music, it doesn't matter, whatever it is that you're passionate about. Creation is creation, and there's things that make creation, there's tools that make creation easier.
Mhm.
And it's like, if you're creating a house, a hammer makes it easier to build a house.
Right.
If you're creating music, a microphone makes it easier to make music than making it on your cell phone.
Mhm.
I think creation is just finding, like, for me, what I teach is that it's like, what's going to make your job easier
Mhm.
as a coach or as a client. Like, I look at it from the coach's perspective, like, what's going to make this person's life easier. And more so, I think like you just said, it comes from the mindset. It starts there. It starts in the feeling place and the mindset. And if they don't have those two in place, it's what, mind, body, soul. If you don't have all three of those aligned, you're not creating efficiently, right? You're only taking two parts of those puzzle pieces with you. Well, guess what? Down the road, you're gonna realize, oh shit, I should have taken better care of my body when I had the chance. So,
Right, indeed. Let's call some people out. Who is your ideal client?
my ideal client. All right, cool. Let's bring him in. Um, I'd say someone who knows that they want something, and maybe knows what that is, and is balanced in the logical and creative mind. Like, they might not, someone who's too logical or not someone that's too creative, like someone who's like, kind of, I want to coach me.
Mhm. I'm my
Well,
ideal client.
because I know how to work with that, but I also know how to work with the others, like the other two types. I just I'd prefer to work with someone who's creative and also has that at least the organization skills enough to go ahead and step into it and be like, okay, I don't have to figure out how to use Google Calendars to make this work, but someone who like kind of knows their way around, like planning things out and staying on schedule, or at least Yeah, because I'd say that's the majority of people that I work with anyways, is that they already have like their Google Calendar set up and all that, and they're just not putting in the data. Like that I can work with. If you're just not putting in the data, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're not sitting there and executing, I'll light that fire. You
Yes.
know,
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hey, we could probably go on forever.
we could. Yeah, yeah.
I go on forever. But before we tap out, I wanna ask you, what's the number one thing that anybody listening right now needs to know if they want to live a life by design instead of by default?
Oof. I'm gonna tap into this one. Give me 1 sec. There's no shame in support. That's it. There's no shame in reaching out. I feel it's so crazy, man. This whole conversation. Like after this, go check out the video that I just posted on my Facebook Live, and everything's like kind of in alignment with what I just did. But we have this stigma attached to, you know, back in the day, it was having like therapy was a negative thing or anything like that, and I feel like it's carried over in a bit, but not as much. Like it's opened up because we got people like Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, whatever, all these different types of coaches, and they all specialize in different things. But we we're way more open to it nowadays, and I think that right now is the time for anybody watching this to not only bet on yourself, but also build with somebody else.
Mhm.
Build, because we're symbiotic beings. We're meant to uplift each other and grow together. In a life coaching situation, like it's not just me coaching you. I'm learning as I'm coaching you.
Mhm.
You get me? So it's like we're both growing in this situation. It's just I have some tools that you need, and you have some tools that I didn't even know I needed.
Right.
That's the work. So don't be afraid to reach out for support, and really just, you know, that's betting on yourself. Invest in yourself. Start there.
That's perfect. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been such a valuable conversation. I'm sure
Man,
that
thank you.
everybody listening right now is better for having heard your voice.
Oh
Appreciate
man.
you.
Tell me, hey, we're gonna link up, bro. Uh and you can take this off the podcast, but what city are you in?
I'm in Louisiana right now, but I live in LA.
Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah,
I'm in Orange County, so when you get back and things open back up, we'll have to get together.
it's a must. It's a
My
must.
man.
And to everybody listening right now, as always, love, love, be well. Don't forget to have the guts to follow your guts. Peace.
Yes, sir. It's nothing.